Mobile in Zoza, and he said United Party candidate Galiman Kotiman has said so far so good. The process is transparent and is going free and fair. What are the reactions from Momo Saros and Marmo Fofana in terms of the transparency of the process thus far?
The both of them have held the Elections Commission for the work thus far. The fact that they haven't heard or haven't recorded any fraud that you call it or whatever situation. So they've commended the Elections Commission so far and praying on them to ensure that they continue on the path which they started as we draw close to the end of polls and then to be followed by counting and all of this one. So, someone else's house.
Yeah, go, sorry.
Coming.
All right, so, but we'll keep.
So yeah, before you go, let's talk about the observers of these candidates. What have you observed so far? Do all of them have people there watching over what's happening there? Because we're hearing from, what is the name of the place?
From Kolahon.
From Kolahon, that some of the candidates don't have observers at some of the polling places. Have you observed that also?
So at this end, one of the centers that I have visited, I've seen observers from all of the candidates.
Okay.
For the centers that I have visited so far.
Anyway, you're in Wajima, right?
Yeah,
you're in the capital city.
Wajima and part of Kwalibondi. I see observers from all of the candidates in the election.
Including George Sama?
Including George Sama.
All right.
And interestingly, I saw one of the agents for George Sama in Samudu. But unfortunately, he tells me that he's a registered voter in Konya. So I was concerned. But then how do you vote? Why couldn't you go to Konya where you registered
to be an
serve as agent? To serve as agent, they're coming to Samudu where you don't have voting rights. And so
that's takeaway. That's a takeaway.
All
right, Tokwa, but thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be very busy with you between 7 to 11 o'clock tonight, so keep some energy. And thank you so far for all the good work you're doing there.
Yeah.
Always my pleasure.
Yeah, the guys are doing great, bringing us what's unfolding there in Lofa County. But it's obvious that maybe most times when you are going to elections, the capital, you have people there, but those far to reach areas, it becomes so difficult. Yeah,
resources inadequate.
So you wouldn't have people most times. Most times it's the people who are considered as the lead contenders, because you heard from him in Kolahon, right? Sorry, sometimes I don't remember. Kolahon. Okay, he says he saw observers from the Unity Party and Joseph Jala. Candidate Joseph Jala, but then most times I think the other person who has observers is Mario Mufofana also.
And
the other people, in other places he didn't even see a representative from former Senator Smokopi. But elections are very expensive. If you want to make sure that you go to the end and see that everything is free and fair, you have to spend the money, because when people go to observe the process, you have to take care of them. If you don't have money to take care of them, then they can stay there from 8 o'clock in the morning to maybe 12 midnight, because the process starts in the morning. But then when the counting starts, then it becomes, it becomes even more tense, because that person has to sit there from 6 o'clock in the morning. And most times some people have 2 persons or 3 persons, so they rotate them. Or somebody comes and sit for 3 hours and then they go back outside, another person comes and sit. But if you don't have money to pay people, then it becomes a problem.
The actual voting period is like about 11 hours from 8 to 6.
Then after you have to count.
Almost like 5 hours to count, because you have to count and counter check, and then all the formalities of compiling. But again, we should have some good amount of results, unofficial results, in at least by 11 o'clock. And the ELBC is dedicated to ensure that we bring you the results from all of the polling centers. Our stringers are deployed across, they have their own networks. And we will also be talking to Kokwe Miller about Radio Hope. I want to thank Radio Live, of Zozo. I want to thank our partner station in Sunny Kwele Radio Senwen, Kotinangwe, for relaying the program. Thanks to all of our affiliate stations across Liberia, the relaying. The spotlight is on Lofa, 180 2,000 plus
voters,
voters,
registered voters.
majority female voters are right now continuing to vote in the process that is so far considered free and transparent. In the words of correspondent stringer Prince Morba, he spoke with Galima Kotiman. Good to hear that, and we'll be very surprised that this other result doesn't end up challenged or in the courts.
Yeah, so yeah, hopefully, because
Yeah.
I know the people of Lofa County
They've
are
been
kind
out
of
of
tired
senator
now. They
for-
want to have a, but you know, you guys in Lofa, because I know you were hearing us. If you have not voted, just please get up, go and make that decision. That will, you know, impact your county either positively or whatever way for the next years. How many years? Because 2 years are already gone now out of that, so maybe 7 more years.
Yeah.
For the next 7 years, you have to make a decision that will better the lives of your people and to better your own lives. So if you're sitting down there and you have not gone to cast your vote and you're kind of disappointed, it's about time you go and make that decision. Vote for somebody you believe is going to make your county better and make your life better. To not, you know, participate in the process is similarly as participating, because if you don't go to vote, the people who go to vote make the decisions for you, and whoever they vote for, that person is going to be your leader equally, whether you voted for that person or not. So you have an opportunity. Your vote is your future. So go out there and vote for whoever you want to vote for. This is ELBC Radio. We're placing a spotlight on Lofa County. Isaac is trying to get in contact with another, you know, stringer, but until he does
We're
that,
done. We can get via home. Ibrahim Ganda is a coverage area.
Okay.
He said this morning to someone listening that yes, so probably from the stringers we go straight to the contestant.
okay.
And we have Unity Party, Galiman Kotiman, Zui Libasu. We understand this is ELBC Radio. This is ELBC, sir. Honorable Kotiman. We spoke with him the other day, probably network problem, but we're trying to get to the contestants now. We earlier on called George Sama, he rang off, and then we called Maremo Fofana is not on, and she could be in the Samandu belt, and that's a challenge, signal challenge area in the Kwandi Bondi area. But I hope we can get Kotiman to call back, and then he answered. I know Professor Smokupi, who voted in Zolo, outside of Zozo, will take our call too, and then but we'll try to reach out to the candidates. We heard from Samba Bole that the councillor in Kolahong area couldn't have spoken to him, but we hope he can talk to us via telephone. We're still trying to make an attempt to talk to the candidates so that they.
But until you get a candidate on the line, just open up the lines and
Yeah.
let's see whether just.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. You're on ELBC. You're on ELBC. Yes, sir.
How do you do?
Number Honorable Galima Kotima.
Okay, Galakpa Kotimai. Okay, Mr. Kotimai, how are you? And how have you been today? Have you voted?
I'm doing well, and everything is working well, and things are fine. We're also encouraging our citizens to turn on their minds to vote.
Have you voted?
Oh yeah, I was the first in my hometown to vote this morning. I was the first to go and stand in the queue.
That is great. And how was the process?
Well, the process was fine, and there was selecting began with them when they gave all of the rules and regulations regarding the voting process, how you take the queue, how you enter, where you go first, and all of these things. And I was the first person that went through the process. So other places that followed, and then right after that, I became the results of the continent encouraging our people to go to vote.
Is this your first time contesting?
Come again?
Is this your first time contesting for representative or senators?
No, this is my second time. The first time I contested was 2014.
Oh, 2014. And how well did you do?
Well, I came third, and because of the situation at the time I ran on the CDCK, and I came in very late because of support from my boss at the time, Madam Ellen Johnson Khalif. So I could not actually come and acquire the kind of number that you have acquired.
That
So,
sounds interesting to
that
us.
was so far that time.
That sounds interesting. You are Unity Party president, but then because of Madam Salif, you ran on the CDC ticket.